Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Thursday, September 25th, 2025, and today's topic is going to be called Sketching Animals for Fun. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day, and I use a timer to stay focused, and to build a habit, I'll start a 10-minute timer. So yeah, let's get started. So I just went on Pinterest and looked up animals, literally. The first things that pop up, I'm just going to sketch, so I'm not going to zoom in to detail or anything. And I'm actually going to use like the loosest grip on this pen, but you can use a pencil, whatever your favorite drawing utensil is. So we have an otter. That's the first thing that came up. So I'm just gonna get warmed up, but like kind of go over different ways of, so this is obviously from reference, but I don't really draw a lot of animals. I want to. I like it. So there's like different ways. There's kind of this cartoony. That's why I wanted to call it like for fun. And I'm just using like this really loose grip, which that's why I like these felt tip pens, so I can, well, one, I'm left-handed, so kind of particular. And then you can hold it different ways, but you can also use a pencil. Part of this is because it shows up on the camera. So yeah, here's an otter, and I'm not going to spend too much time on any one of them. Now there's other ideas I had. One was that I could do a video about like sculpting. This one is more about like the shape and the gesture. And also I'm not going to spend too much time, but like if I use like a more medium grip, I can do this. And part of this is just like the style, because I've been sketching with this pen for like months, so I'm kind of used to it, like the look of it. So this is like one way to, so once you have like the sketch, you can go in and add light and dark, which is what this is. But there's, depending on the materials you're using on like the pen and stuff, it kind of has different effects. So that's like one way to approach it. The other, going with the, what I was saying about the idea of like the sculpting, so I'll use a loose grip again. So it's literally like sculpting, where like, let's say you have clay. Now I'm not a sculptor, but I mean, I've played around with it. Now I've done like 3D modeling, so I'm a little bit more familiar with that. So yeah, you have like a primitive, so like a sphere, and then you can have another sphere. And this is just the animals that like popped up on the, so I'm using a loose grip. This is like the loosest grip for me. It's this kind of grip. And then yeah, just draw like the spheres. Now you can think about the proportions a little bit. So kind of like this thing has, I guess it's some kind of fox. Like it has big old ears. So you can think about the proportions. So it's kind of like a shape. But then the body is sort of a sphere. And then these legs are cylinders. And then you can go in and add like the light and dark. You can stick with like the loose grip. And it'll just kind of look like this. And then go for like a more detailed grip. So I like to do the random like Pinterest thing that I like to talk about for like these studies. That's what this is, because otherwise I just kind of come up with like the same stuff. I wouldn't have known to look this up. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with like the sculpting like method. So here's like a wolf's head. So for example, let's do like a sphere. The proportions are they're kind of like the wireframe if you need them for sculpting, because there's different kinds of sculpting, and then there's also like carving. So you don't always need like a wireframe, but if you needed one, so let's say that this is the wireframe. So you can have the wire, so to speak, or like the proportion, the guideline come out this much and then like this much. So that's kind of like a skeleton kind of thing. And then from there you can like add the forms. This is kind of the look of sculpting. So sphere, cylinder, but I'm sticking with like it's kind of like a wireframe if you were sculpting with clay. So you have like another cylinder right here. So that's why these basic shapes and forms are really helpful. You can just keep adding them, just so you can understand the form. And then the ears are, again, you can use kind of a wireframe kind of thing like that. Now this method is helpful, especially if you're wanting to learn how to draw it from imagination, because that's probably what you're going to remember is this kind of thing. Not all like the little details, but some of the shapes will stick also. So then the eyes are kind of right here. So from here, it's pretty easy to add the details. So I'm going to use a looser grip again. So this is just the rendering part of it. And you can kind of render it however you want. And you just kind of sculpt it and carve away. Do one more. Here's a snow leopard. I was actually just thinking of that. So yeah, let's stick with like the sculpting method, but maybe not so much. I just kind of did that on purpose, but it can be helpful, especially if you're wanting to figure out like the form. So I'll do a snow leopard real quick. So in this way, I'm going to combine sort of the form and then also just like the shape. So I want it to fit like right here, just because sometimes you want to just know that. So this is more of a shape kind of thing. I want it to fit in here. And then from here, then I'll just think about the proportions. So it seems like the head is kind of right here. And then, so I'm just going to fit it like within there. And some of it could be like exaggerated. So like this could be turned into more of a form, kind of this sort of look. It's like that's the form right there. And although it has like fur and everything, you can still treat it like kind of a simple form, because it's sort of this look. And then through the shading, you'll just get your details, like the spots. You can just like make spots. So that's one way to do that. And then the other is to just think about like the shape of it. So like this, I'm kind of exaggerating. Made it more graphic. But that'll be it for our daily sketching routine, and if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.